Hello, dear viewers. Let's look at another variation of the Sicilian defense. This time, let's look at dragon variation. Now, this is the starting position. Here, White's most ambitious line is the Yugoslav attack. It's quite similar to the English attack in the Najdorf variation. So, bishop e3, bishop g7, f3, castles, queen d2, knight c6, and here White castles long, or he can also play bishop c4. Let's look at something that could happen. Black is smart to strike in the center right away to deflect White from attacking. Here, White exchanges on c6. It's not always bad for White because there was pressure on that knight, so it's also a way to stay active for White. Here, e5, bishop c5, bishop e6, and a nice square for the knight, rook e8, developing h4, h6, g4. The attacks on both sides are still going on, even though the position is not closed. In positions where the kings are on opposite sides of the board, the game rarely ends in a draw because both sides can put so many resources into attack without endangering their own king. Well, there are some draws also in these lines, but it's usually either side wins. And this is certainly not mainline anymore, but as you can see, lots of imbalances and not a very clear position at all. This is called the Rouser variation in the Yugoslav attack. Let's back up a little bit. And to see where the Rouser variation starts, and it seems to be just this castle long. Also, White can play bishop c4, and here perhaps Black can equalize easier. Sorry for some lag there. Here White can also just go g4, but it seems to be better to play first king b1, maybe for any future threats with the knight or something like that with the bishop. This only has 7 games in this database, so it's perhaps not worth memorizing, but it's good to have some kind of visual image of different continuations, so then you can move the pieces in your mind um, in a way that could resemble some of these positions and get more fresh ideas. Because often when we don't, if we haven't studied um, opening theory recently, or perhaps that particular opening that we're playing, it's difficult to find new ideas. You just stick to something that you've seen before somewhere and seems vaguely familiar. But the good thing about studying openings is that you get so many new ideas, and also you feel more comfortable and more confident in the tournament situation. So let's go straight back to move 6 by white. So that was the Yugoslav attack. Very dangerous for black. White can also go bishop e2, the classical variation, or f4, the Levenfish attack. Let's see something that could happen from here. The position becomes quite open quite early on. But it's not equal. It's usually either side wins. And here black can play d5, establishing a central pawn, or knight f6, improving the position of the knight, or queen a5, or knight b6, playing on the queen side with the knight. But this Levenfish variation seems quite unplayed relatively to other variations. It's nearly not as famous either as the Yugoslav attack, for example. And other moves for white could be just f3 or bishop c4 already here, just changing move order a bit. And also g3 is possible, or bishop g5, but that looks quite bad for white, because this is not a weak point. If the e pawn would have moved already, then this knight would be weaker. But now black has already two different ways to recapture, so in this instance bishop g5 doesn't seem to be working very well. So of course we could look at different possibilities too, but with these variations of the Sicilian defense, it's difficult to find any main line, because there's so many variations that then you would have to cover all the main lines, and then for human brain it's too much to ask to remember that kind of infinite analysis. So just showing you some examples of what could happen, and like, so that you know what are the most common variations, and also how black could maybe react to those. Although these videos are a little bit more like from the white's perspective, but if you want to study the dragon variation more, I'll put a link by Grandmaster Chinjesvili, who has studied the dragon for black a lot, so he can tell you more about the plans that black should be thinking about. Okay, thanks, bye.